Good morning, Sue Rose Minahan, Talk Cosmos Now Chat. This is a 10-minute edition about news. And the news today, astrologically connected to, is NASA's Mars, landing on Mars. Perseverance. It was named by a 7th grader in Virginia, a contest. And so many of these elements bring together the astrology of the moment. And just like this mission is out there to ask, is there life? And what is our universe? Well, hey, that is astrology. It's using a different angle, as everything does in life, but getting deeper connections. And in some ways, science just keeps connecting closer back to astrology, really, in some of the intentions. And that's quite amazing. Mars is holding our excitement ever since the very beginning of time. It's red. It is that mineral content that we can see from Earth. So on either side of us, we have Venus and we have Mars. Venus, because it's closer to the sun, the conditions are such that we would melt. It's just so hot. The time we went back there, it was just for minutes, whereas here, it's going to stay there, I believe, for 90 days, long time. Now, granted, it's a step, it's a process. And let's look at some of this. It took 7 months. It started last summer when we had the pandemic. And historically, because back in the 70s with Carl Sagan, most illustrious scientist, he really thought strongly when we first went out to space that, well, in case there's some life out there, let's bring something that matters, that we can connect and communicate with. So if we look at the astrology right now, because while I'm talking, it's just so evident about all of the astrology. You know, the nodes, yes, they're in Gemini, and that is communication. But what's really interesting is if we look at Mars, because we have the planet Mars, we're always concerned with it, that is change, and change through action. And in fact, that is really a reason why scientists have said the lure was also that, okay, Mars is close to us every 2 years, close enough that we can send a new opportunity of a mission out there. And we're not the only ones. I believe China and Taiwan have their own that'll be happening later in this year, in 2022. But regardless, it's close by, so it's available. And there was evident that there could be water. Now, amazingly, Mars, and that's interesting because Mars rules Aries, the first planet, the first sign of the zodiac, of the astrological horoscope, as we might say, the first house, and that's a fire sign. But in ancient times, before we knew about the outer planets beyond Saturn, because they weren't visible to the naked eye on any usual basis, Scorpio, it ruled Scorpio, and that is a frozen water sign, frozen water. And Scorpio is Pluto rules under the earth. Well, right now that's a big deal, is that this water up there could be under the ground. And also the rocks, they have microbes that in the water get infused with rock. So scientists can look at that information, and it is information, it's data. That's what's so exciting, because look at the nodes again in Gemini and Sag for the south. And getting back to my point about Mars here, it's in a lovely square of fixed signs. It's an earth sign, Taurus, right now, 22 degrees, close to the sun. It's our emotionally involved past history, you could say, a past legacy of ancestry. It's like did life really begin there? That's the question. It's so amazing to see this moon, the primal energy, our closest other planet. It's not a planet, but it's luminary that's in our area. Now we're going out to Mars of action, that saw action on the evident, that there was a delta that they're going to that could have been like water, but the Nile, similar idea, and the gathering rocks and evidence, and that this action through change, which is so indicative of Mars. But the fact that it is in this square, this fixed square, Earth signs with Aquarius, because we have Saturn, Mercury, Jupiter, all in a close alignment here. Well, we have Mars is very close to Jupiter and Venus. I mean, Mars is really squaring Venus. And isn't that something? Venus, that we said, thank you very much, but the elements there just aren't going to work. It's so extremely hot, but it's a productive result. And that's what squares are, that tension where it's 90 degrees and a result happens. So, and then Mercury and Jupiter are the rulers of the nodes. There we go. Well, it's going to happen at 3:55 p.m. on the East Coast, wherever. Now, back earlier in the last decade, we had spirit and opportunity. And isn't that amazing? Science uses these wonderful terms of connection with ideas. And really, there isn't much difference between that and if we could just leap over to the astrology that has another significance of meaning if we were to study the cycles, which we're doing to see how they relate here. Because there's a lot of faith involved that science is and spiritual connection. There's even reference that, yes, it was the war. Mars is known as the god of war. Well, war would be if our actions are so discovery, like the joy of discovery. That's also very Aryan for Mars. That's on a plaque that's going up there, because it separates and it goes forward to become a new identity. And if you tread too far, perhaps, I mean, by too far without realizing where you're stepping on other people's territory, perhaps there could be war, which obviously there has and there is. We always have that in our nature, that ideally, yes, in the sense of the great mutation with air, maybe connecting more, retrieving like all this information. And scientists are not now in a room, they're all over the world in their bedrooms because of quarantine necessities. There's so many changing elements that perhaps we will really learn to not have the elitism, to more of a large community of inspired connection. So what else? Perseverance, what a name. And now coming out of spirit and opportunity. And why do we keep going back? Well, those are for good reasons, is that it is close and there could be life there, and that frozen water like Scorpio. And there's 5 things that they're bringing there. It's like a little collection of things that they're bringing. Names, again, isn't that indicative of Gemini here? It's where they're bringing over 1 million names. There was a contest. It was also an expansion to bring in the community. And we might say that we are in this transpersonal energy. The sun today is in Pisces. That is really a connection without any barriers. We're all involved. Well, thank you so much. Please do subscribe. This is a 10-minute edition, and every week we have a panel discussion with wonderful astrologers. There's 3 panels, and then once a month there's a new group of people. And I'd love to hear any and all of your comments. And we'll see you again as the activities of Mars brings information. Yes, where are we headed? Where have we been? Well, we'll find out. Thanks.